attribute assignment statements change the values that are bound through attribute names within an object or a class. So, you can assign to attributes. Assignment statements with a dot expression on their left-hand side are attribute assignment statements. So they affect the attributes of the object of that dot expression. If that object is an instance, then assignment sets an instance attribute. If the object is a class, assignment sets a class attribute. So let's say I have the account class. Here I've just shown you part of it. Interest in this definition is already a class attribute because it's defined directly within the class. Whereas holder and balance are instance attributes because they're set on the new instance that's created and passed to init. So account is a class and TomAccount is an instance of the class. If I say TomAccount.interest equals 0.08, that's setting an instance attribute because the object of the dot expression is an instance. So this expression evaluates to an object. This whole thing doesn't look up interest on that object and go find it in the class. Instead, we just directly assign to the attribute of the object that's here. So this is attribute assignment that adds or modifies the attribute named interest to the TomAccount. In this case, the instance didn't have an interest attribute before, and so the assignment statement will add one. That's an example of instance attribute assignment. Class attribute assignment arises when you have an attribute assignment statement, meaning there's some expression with a dot on the left, and the object of that dot expression is a class. So this will go and change the interest attribute of the account class, which in this case already existed, and so we go change it. Okay, so here's an extended example of how attribute assignment statements affect classes and objects. Let's say I say gym account is an account with gym. Then I'm going to introduce this new object which has a balance and a holder, and this instance is an instance of this class. Now the account class has interest, and that's accessible from all the instances, but it's part of the class. It also has withdraw and deposit methods and an init method. So here we see the instance attributes of a gym account are just the balance and the holder. And if I create TomAccount, well then it will have its own balance and its own holder. The balances happen to be the same, but they could change later on. Here we've looked up interest on TomAccount, which means looking in TomAccount to see if there's an interest attribute. There's not. So then you look in the class. There it's found, 0.02, and so that's the value we see. Gym account has an interest of 0.02 as well. Next, I can set account.interest to 0.04. That changes a class attribute for the account class. So we can see that change reflected up here, that interest is not bound to 0.02 anymore, but the attribute value is now 0.04. If I look up the interest on Tom's account, I'll find that 0.04, and on Jim's account, I'll find the same, even though these were created back when the account class had a different interest rate. So it's not the case that an instance has its class attributes locked in when it's created. Instead, they can change over time, and the instances will reflect those changes. Next we see gym account.interest set to 0.08. This is an instance attribute assignment that adds an interest attribute to the gym account. Okay, so now we see interest reflected in two places, both in an instance and in the class. If we look up gym account's interest, we'll see 0.08, which is what we just set. If we look up Tom account's interest, we first look in Tom account, it has no interest, and so we look in its class, and it's currently set to 0.04. So now we see that we're able to specialize a particular instance of the account class, giving it its own special interest rate. which might happen in a bank. Somebody gets a higher interest rate than somebody else. Let's say now we change account.interest to 0.05. Well, that's a class attribute assignment statement that will change this to 0.05. Finally, we can check the interest rate for each instance. Tom's account has an interest rate of 0.05, which just changed because of this class attribute assignment statement. Jim still has an interest rate that's a special case, 0.08. So by assigning to the class, you don't erase all the special cases. They're still there.